Hey everybody, welcome back to Tools Insight. If you want to learn something from this video, don't drag it and watch it from the beginning to the end. For all my tool nerds out there, you know I'm always on the hunt for the latest and greatest in the world of tools. And let me tell you, I've struck gold. Today we're diving into some incredible new woodworking tools you've never seen before. We're talking game changers, folks. Tools that will have you questioning how you ever lived without them. So grab your shop aprons and let's get right to it. Alright guys, first up is a tool that's going to completely change the way you think about joinery. I'm talking about pocket hole joinery, but not the pocket hole joinery you're used to. This, my friends, is next level stuff. This little guy right here is a self-setting, self-clamping pocket hole jig, and let me tell you, it's a game changer. You just set the depth you need for your material thickness, clamp it onto your workpiece, and boom, you're ready to drill. No more fiddling with separate clamps or trying to hold everything steady while you work. This thing does it all for you. And the best part? It's incredibly precise. You get perfectly angled pocket holes every single time, which means your joints are going to be stronger and more flush than ever before. I've been using this thing on all my projects lately, and I'm honestly blown away by how much time and frustration it's saved me. Plus, it's super compact and easy to store, which is always a bonus in my book. Now for all my hand tool enthusiasts out there, I've got something truly special to show you. This, my friends, is a Japanese pole saw, and it's going to completely change the way you think about cutting wood. Unlike traditional Western saws that cut on the push stroke, this beauty cuts on the pull stroke, which actually gives you a lot more control and precision. The blade is incredibly thin and sharp, which means you get super smooth, clean cuts with minimal effort. And because you're pulling the saw towards you, it's much easier to keep the blade on track. I love using this saw for everything from making fine cuts in hardwoods to trimming dovetails. It's also fantastic for breaking down larger pieces of wood because it creates less sawdust than a power saw. Trust me, once you go Japanese pull saw, you'll never go back. Okay, let's talk router lifts. Now, I know what you're thinking, April. A router lift isn't exactly a new tool, and you'd be right. But this, my friends, is not your grandpa's router lift. This bad boy is a game changer, especially if you do a lot of routing in your shop. So what makes this router lift so special? Well, for starters, it's incredibly smooth and precise. You can adjust the height of your router bit with pinpoint accuracy, which is crucial for getting those professional-looking results. Plus, it has a built-in dust collection system that actually works. No more clouds of sawdust filling up your shop every time you turn on the router. But the coolest part? This router lift was actually inspired by professional machinists who use similar lifts to precisely control cutting tools in metalworking. So you know it's built to last and can handle even the toughest routing tasks. Next up, we're talking about a tool that's going to save you a ton of headaches and frustration in the shop. Say goodbye to those wonky angles and hello to the digital Angle Finder. This little gadget is a lifesaver, especially if you do a lot of work with angles and miters. Just set the digital Angle Finder on your workpiece. Press a button and boom, you've got an instant, accurate angle reading. No more guessing or trying to eyeball it. This thing takes all the guesswork out of getting those perfect angles. I use it for everything from setting up my miter saw to checking the angles on my table saw blade. It's also super handy for transferring angles from one workpiece to another. And the best part? It's incredibly easy to use. Even if you're a complete beginner, you'll be able to master this tool in minutes. Alright folks, let's talk biscuits. And no, I'm not talking about the fluffy kind you eat for breakfast. I'm talking about the amazing little wonders of joinery, Biscuit Joiners. Now, Biscuit Joiners have been around for a while, but they've seen a resurgence in popularity lately, and for good reason. They're an incredible tool for creating strong, invisible joints in all sorts of woodworking projects. Essentially, a biscuit joiner uses a small blade to cut a crescent-shaped slot into two pieces of wood. You then glue a small, oval-shaped biscuit into the slots, and when the glue dries, you've got a super strong joint that's practically invisible. I love using biscuit joiners for everything from building cabinets to making drawers. They're especially helpful for keeping panels aligned during glue-ups. Plus, they're relatively inexpensive and easy to use, even if you're a beginner. Next up, we're talking about a tool that's essential for any woodworker who wants to create strong, accurate joints, the Dowling Jig. Now, Dowling jigs have been around for ages, but this new breed of jigs takes things to a whole new level. They're incredibly precise, easy to use, and make joining wood with dowels an absolute breeze. What I love about these new Dowling jigs is that they take all the guesswork out of aligning your dowel holes. You simply clamp the jig onto your workpiece, drill your holes, and repeat on the other piece. The jig ensures that your holes are perfectly aligned every single time, so you can say goodbye to those misaligned dowels that plague so many woodworking projects. And don't just take my word for it. Users rave about the simplicity and accuracy of these jigs, claiming they've completely transformed the way they approach joinery. Let's be honest, sanding is nobody's favorite woodworking task, but it's a necessary evil if you want to achieve that smooth, professional-looking finish. Now, most woodworkers are familiar with sheet sanders, but today, I want to introduce you to their more sophisticated cousin, the random orbital sander. While sheet sanders can be great for removing material quickly, they can also leave behind unsightly swirl marks, especially on hardwoods. That's where the random orbital sander comes in. As its name suggests, this sander moves in a random orbital pattern, which helps to eliminate those pesky swirl marks and create a much smoother finish. Plus, random orbital sanders are generally lighter and easier to control than sheet sanders, making them a great option for both beginners and experienced woodworkers. So, if you're looking for a sander that can deliver a professional-looking finish with minimal effort, the random orbital sander is the way to go. Alright guys, let's talk about a tool that's been a total game changer in my shop, the track saw. Now, if you're not familiar with track saws, they're basically circular saws that ride along a track, which allows you to make incredibly straight and precise cuts. Think of it like having a mini table saw that you can take anywhere. One of the things I love most about my track saw is how easy it is to break down large sheets of plywood. You just clamp the track onto your workpiece, set the depth of cut, and glide the saw along the track. It's so much easier and more accurate than trying to wrangle a large sheet of plywood on a table saw. But track saws aren't just for plywood. I use mine for everything from breaking down rough lumber to making precise cuts for joinery. And the best part? Right now, this incredible track saw is available on Amazon with a special discount. I'll put the link in the description below so you can check it out. Sometimes, the simplest tools are the most ingenious. And that's definitely the case with these little guys' bench cookies. Now, bench cookies might look unassuming, but don't let their size fool you. These little helpers are about to become your new best friends in the shop. Essentially, bench cookies are small, non-slip pads that you can use to support your workpieces while you're working on them. They're particularly helpful for preventing your workpieces from sliding around while you're cutting, sanding, or routing. Plus, they provide a slightly elevated work surface, which can be really helpful for protecting your bench top from scratches and dents. But here's a fun DIY project idea. You can actually make your own bench cookies using scrap pieces of wood and some non-slip material. Just cut the wood into small squares or circles, attach the non-slip material to the bottom, and voila! You've got your very own custom bench cookies. Alright guys, we've arrived at the final tool on our list, and let me tell you, this one's a doozy. Get ready to have your minds blown by the sheer accuracy of the laser measure. Now, I know what you're thinking, April. Laser measures have been around forever. What's so special about this one? Well, my friends, this isn't your average laser measure. This bad boy is so accurate it can measure distances down to the millimeter. That's right, millimeters. No more fractions of an inch, no more rounding up or down. This thing gives you dead-on accuracy every single time. But that's not all. This laser measure also has a built-in calculator, so you can do all sorts of handy calculations right on the device. It can even calculate area and volume, which is incredibly helpful for estimating materials. Well, there you have it, folks. 10 incredible woodworking tools that are guaranteed to up your woodworking game. I hope you enjoyed this whirlwind tour of the latest and greatest tools on the market. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more incredible tool insights. Now for that surprising or humorous moment I promised. As I was testing out that amazing new pocket hole jig, I accidentally drilled a pocket hole right through my workbench. It's safe to say I was a little overzealous in my testing, but hey, it happens to the best of us, right? Until next time, happy woodworking!